So to me, Sony PlayStation in 2024 has been, well, kind of very up and down. There's been some high points to it, there's been some low points to it, and most of the low points come more on the business side of things, more so than the software side. Now, software has been a bit limited this year as opposed to other years, especially when you're talking about first party software, but there has been some good stuff from third party companies. Games like Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, even though I don't know, man. I still feel like it had way too much padding in it, but it was a great game nonetheless. Of course, the success of games like Helldivers and Black Myth Wukong really helped shape Sony's perspective and kind of how people envision the PlayStation brand in 2024. Of course, there were some lowlights of the situation. Things like raising prices of stuff all the time, from raising the price of their online services, which was met with quite a bit of backlash, to raising the price of systems in various regions, to even raising the price of controllers literally today. Like today, they raised the price of the DualSense controller up to $5 more than it was. I'm so old that I remember as a console generation went on, things went down in price. But beyond that, of course, it's been probably the most topsy-turvy past couple of weeks for PlayStation in 2024. You have the massive failure of Concord, millions and millions and hundreds of millions of dollars, 8 years of development wasted on a game that was up for about a week or so and then taken down because nobody asked for it. But then you turn around and you have such a huge success like Astrobot. Now, we haven't gotten any Astrobot sales or anything like that quite yet, but this game is resonating with both gamers, reviewers, like everyone's coming together in this kumbaya-like state of just enjoying what Astrobot brings to the table. It's a very what have you done for me lately industry, and a couple different things can happen, and now you could change your whole perspective of the year. Gamers have kind of a limited ADD style scope of memory when it comes to certain things in certain companies, especially if they like that company. So with that being said, 2024 is almost wrapping up. We're getting towards the tail end of the year. It hasn't been the best year for PlayStation, but many people are wondering, well, what is next? And there's been heavy rumors about new hardware for PlayStation, and it seems like, well, that's getting unveiled tomorrow, pal. The wait is over to get a look at the PlayStation 5 Pro. PlayStation just put out this tweet a couple hours after raising the price of the controllers $5. Tune in tomorrow for a PlayStation 5 technical presentation hosted by Mark Cerny. The 9-minute stream begins September 10th at 8 a.m. Pacific time, 4 p.m. what is that, British Standard Time? I don't know what that means. And then basically you get this little "the journey continues," and it happens at 11 o'clock a.m. normal time, because that's where I live. And of course we have a blog post to look at as well. Doesn't really say much. It just says the 9-minute technical presentation will focus on PlayStation 5 and innovations in gaming technology. So most of us are assuming that this is for the PlayStation 5 Pro. And the PlayStation 5 Pro has been something that has been heavily rumored for a very, very long time. Now, there's been perceived technical specifications of what this system is going to bring to the table, but I'm not really I don't know. I don't really buy into just pure power and pure tech specs and stuff like that. I'm sure there'll be other content creators who kind of break all that down. But for me, it's not how much power you have, it's what you use with that power. The one thing I find very interesting about what has been rumored for this PlayStation 5 Pro is the fact that it is supposedly going to be $600 for a digital system and $700 for a physical edition. Now, that's just what's been thrown out there. The prices could be different. I guess maybe they could be a little bit lower, but more than likely, they could be a little bit higher than that. And, that's kind of a bit of a turnoff for some people, I feel, especially in this sort of economy. Now, as far as what the PlayStation 5 Pro is going to do, I assume it's going to be very similar to the PlayStation 4 Pro, an incremental upgrade that allows for higher resolutions, higher frame rates. Obviously, Sony likes ray tracing and trying to do 8K stuff, so I could see that potentially being a focus of this system, even though I feel like 8K TV adoption isn't quite high enough to sort of warrant that sort of thing, but you have to have a reason to upgrade to an 8K television anyways, besides having a bunch of money, I guess, because those things are pretty damn expensive. So companies eventually have to make things for 8K televisions to make it worth the upgrade. My whole problem, and I say problem, with the PlayStation 5 Pro is I don't necessarily think like it's super needed. You know what I'm saying? And I guess you could say the same thing about the PlayStation 4 Pro, because spoiler alert, I never upgraded my PlayStation 4 to a PlayStation 4 Pro. Now, at that time, I was doing mostly Nintendo content creation for Nintendo enthusiasts, so the PlayStation 4 was kind of just a system that I would just play like whatever on. It wasn't something that I would really use for work, and at that time, I mean, I have no money. Like, you know what I'm saying? I was living paycheck to paycheck like many people were. So for me, the upgrade wasn't important enough because the PlayStation 4 still played the same games as the PlayStation 4 Pro did. It's going to be the same sort of situation with the PlayStation 5 Pro. Yes, you might get better performance out of these games, which makes it more of a, you got to be a connoisseur. You got to be a tech head to want to get one of these. Now, that being said, I am going to buy a PlayStation 5 Pro because I'm a video game channel and I cover all platforms, and I definitely want to see kind of the difference between these systems. But when the PlayStation 4 Pro came out, I feel like the economy was kind of in a bit of a different place, and you weren't asking $700 for a system like this. So is obviously the connoisseurs are going to buy it. The PlayStation, fanboys and stuff like that, if they can afford it, they're going to buy that on day one. And of course, video game review channels are probably going to buy this as well. But what about the commonplace market? What about the average Joe? Is there going to be enough incentive? And I think that that's where this presentation becomes very important, because if you sit there for 9 minutes and tell people, oh, well, this is what it can do, and this is what, these are the specs of it, and these are the numbers and stuff like that, nobody's going to really care. You have to show people. There needs to be a visual aid to go alongside of that, to show people why they need to upgrade, taking games that already exist and enhancing them in terms of graphics and frame rate and resolutions and stuff like that. But is that still going to be enough for some people? I don't know. I mean, the PlayStation 4 Pro didn't exactly light the world on fire, but Sony seemed happy enough with it in terms of sales and in terms of consumer reception to want to do something like this again. And honestly, I do feel like mid-generation refreshes are a good thing, because they allow you to have the same baseline of games, but enhance them a little bit more for the connoisseur. I just don't know if a $700 upgrade is going to be worth it to a lot of people. It just kind of depends. It depends on your financial situation. And of course, we do have to factor in that you can always trade in your PlayStation 5 for this PlayStation 5 Pro. All I know is I am excited to see this tomorrow, because I mean, it's been a long time coming. Many people say that it's going to launch in either October or November of this year. So, it could end up being a big holiday item. And, the fact that we got the PlayStation 5 and the PlayStation 5 Pro before the Switch 2, I mean, that's just kind of the cherry on the cake there. I guess it kind of shows you where these companies are in terms of how they are envisioning the future of their games and stuff like that. So I want to know, like, do you care about Pro systems? Do you think that they are good for the gaming world? Do you think that this is going to be something that is good for Sony? Because there's no guarantee. There's no guarantee that this is going to be a rousing success. Initial pre-orders will probably sell out immediately, but how's it going to do when it's sitting on a store shelf? Is that going to be a highly coveted item this holiday season? I guess we'll have to wait and see, but I am a little bit excited for it. I do think it could be potentially kind of cool, but you got to do something with this. You got to wow people with this presentation. And that's really what presentations are all about, because you got to make people forget you just raised the DualSense controller $5. And as always, guys, thank you for checking out this video. If you're new to the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button. I won't do a live reaction to this tomorrow, but I will do a video reaction sharing my thoughts on it. And as always, I'll catch you guys on the next video. Later.